AJ Simmons here with another great interview for you guys. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Judy Tavy, who's a sales expert with the Sandler Center. And we're going to go ahead and talk to her and see what she's up to. So Miss Judy, how are you today?
Great. How you doing, AJ?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. Thank you again for joining us today. So as I always start these interviews off, could you just give us a little bit of background, tell us exactly who Miss Judy Tavy is?
Okay, well, I've been in professional sales. Sometimes it feels like it's the day that the earth cooled. I've been doing this for a little bit of time, but I got into selling when I was in high school, and then I worked my way through college by having sales positions at Macy's and other department stores selling accessories, perfumes, furniture, and I was good at it because I like working with people and helping them come to have a solution for them for whatever their buying needs were. So when I got out of school, out of university, I got a job on Wall Street, selling all different kinds of investment products. I did that for most of my adult career, but after I was on the road 6-7 days a week, and I did that for many years. I have to say it was pretty brutal. And after a while, I figured if I work this hard for myself, as I'm doing for other companies, I should be able to make a go of it. So about 5 years ago, I started looking around for a business opportunity, become an entrepreneur, and looked at different businesses, senior healthcare, tutorial services for children, lots of different things. I said, you know what, Judy, stick to your own knitting. Look at something that you're going to be able to use your expertise in, that you've accomplished all these years. And I chose Sandler Training. Why Sandler Training? Well, we're really grateful. They are considered one of the top global sales and sales management training companies. We have 33 countries. We have 270 folks like me with their individual practices around the world. And I like the integrity of the company. I like the fact that their materials, the curriculum are top shelf. And the bottom line is we deliver. That's why our clients like working with us, because we help them increase their sales revenues, make their companies financially stronger. That's how I ended up here.
Okay, sounds good. Now, you might already know, I'm pretty sure you're aware a little bit that my channel, usually I talk about like commercial cleaning, residential cleaning, but it's usually general just entrepreneurship and cleaning in general. So could you tell us exactly like what sales has to do with janitorial business?
Well, janitorial services are so important, particularly now with what we're going through in this country with pandemic, and just in general, people have a heightened awareness of cleanliness, and particularly in commercial settings, that they really need to have their facilities perfectly clean so that workers, as they return, feel safe, are safe, and comfortable. So that the whole psychology of being at work shouldn't be something that's frightening to people. So janitorial services happen to be, I think, one of the industries now that is, if you could say, benefiting, but are benefiting by what's going on in the country. The challenge is that not everybody understands the differences between different approaches by different commercial cleaning organizations. It's like, I have a toothache, I'm going to go to the dentist who's going to fill my cavity for the least amount of money. Well, not really. You have to dig a little deeper. And for people who are in your industry, it's important for them to be able to understand what differentiates them from their competitors, besides price, because if you compete on price, you're going to get killed on price, and really be able to get and engage with qualified prospects, find out what their needs are, and then offer you solutions, rather than just going in and talking about what we say the old way of selling is features and benefits. I use these kinds of cleaners. I have these many people who come in. It's more important to engage your prospect and find out what's important to them. Make the emotional connection, AJ, because people buy emotionally. They do. And then intellectually, they decide that they made the right decision. That's what Sandler's all about. Teaching business owners, sales professionals, how to get inside the head of their prospect, help them differentiate themselves from their competition.
Gotcha. I like that, Miss Judy. I heard you say that if you compete on price, then you'll get killed on price. So I like that quote from you
That's
there.
right.
Absolutely. Now, I know that some people, like most of the people watching my channel, are usually like just starting their business or about to start their business, or they might be maybe up to the mid-size level. Is like, what would you say to a person that thinks, okay, well, sales training is usually for bigger companies. Like, will this training help anybody in my audience in particular?
Well, I think sales training is even more important than in small organizations than larger organizations. Larger organizations understand how important sales training is to the point that they will have their own internal sales training operations because they have investors. They may be New York Stock Exchange companies. They really have to make sure that their earnings and their bottom line stay tight. For small companies or people who are just getting in the business, you can have the best cleaning operation on the face of the earth. If you're not going to have the ability to win new clients, it's not going to make any difference. You're not going to be in business long enough to really provide the top level service that you're capable of. So I happen to work with smaller to mid-sized organizations because I see the greatest need and the greatest ability for those firms to for me to make a real difference with them, to really move the needle up in terms of not only getting new clients, but getting them at price points that are fair and profitable so that your profit margins aren't crushed by just trying to sell at the lowest service price. That's not a winning strategy.
Gotcha. And I know you helped my guy Sean as well, Sean Richards, who has been on my channel a few times. He's very big in Clean Biz Network. And everybody knows that he gets these larger hospital accounts, and he's just been growing. He's been killing it. He credits you with a lot he gives you a lot of credit for his success in getting some of these deals. So could you kind of share with us, without giving us anything too proprietary, could you share with us some of the tips that you were able to give Sean?
Well, Sean and I happened to meet at a small business chamber meeting when he just started out. He's a solid citizen, you know him. He's a great person. And we started chatting. And he decided, he said, I need to know how to sell. And I said, well, let's have a conversation. And he decided to get involved with his son at the time, who was in the business with him, in training. What do I think I brought to the table to help him get off the start line aggressively? He had no sales process whatsoever. It's like trying to take a trip across the country and you don't know what road you're going to take. You're going to get lost. You're going to waste a lot of time. So we worked together on establishing, we happen to use the Sandler process, which is everybody needs to have a sales process. If it's Sandler, if you make it up on your own, work with somebody else, you have to have a roadmap that has a logical progression, that has specific steps with associated activities and desired outcomes. That kind of sounds a little boring, but it's going to save you time because it's going to make you effective, efficient, and then you have a process that you can implement that you can repeat in all different situations. If you're trying to bring in a small account or a large hospital account. And I think that gave Sean, he picked that up immediately and he implemented it, because I always say, this isn't just an intellectual activity. You got to make it real. Whatever you learn, you have to put it into play in your business and see how it works. Test drive it. It's like riding a bike. You can't read a book about it. You can't just watch a YouTube video about riding a bike. You have to get on the bike and try to ride it. Another thing that I think Sean, and he's very gracious in giving me so much credit, when he would go in just to win an account or just go in on a walk-in or make a cold call, they would say, give me a proposal. And like most people, wow, this person's interested. I want to give them a proposal. Most of the time, if you don't really know what we call pain points are, what their motivators are, you're wasting your time. A lot of people, not that they're bad people, but prospects will hide their intentions. They want some free consulting. They want to see what you're going to put together, how you're going to price it, and they're going to shop it. So what good does that do you? The proposal delivery comes at the end, not at the beginning. So that was another sort of aha moment for Sean. And when he started to implement that, he started to get into much larger opportunities. Another thing that's really important about selling is really just a communication model. That's it. And you know what? We're all selling all the time. We're selling at who's going to pick up the kids, who's going to take out the garbage, who's going to go to, we're going to go to my family for the holidays, or it's going to be your family for Thanksgiving. And that's really insignificant in new business development. I spend a lot of time with Sean and my clients and understanding there are basically 4 different ways to communicate. Everybody communicates in 4 different ways. One is not better than the other. They're just different. How are you able to understand which of those 4 types of qualities or preferred communication styles is right for the prospect you're speaking to? And then how do you repivot and move in the direction to talk to them, engage them the way they like to communicate? Not the way you like to communicate, but the way they do, so that they feel comfortable.
Gotcha. Now it's funny because I'm looking at my device here, and I see that we got a special guest joining us as well, Mr. Sean Richards. We just spoke you up, man. How you doing today?
Hi, Sean.
Hi, how are you guys doing? I'm fine. Having a great day so far.
Wonderful.
Excellent. I wanted to, since we got you here, man, because we were just talking about how you gave Judy a lot of credit with your success in closing deals for your janitorial company. So could you just kind of speak on a little bit, basically to Judy's horn a little bit here for us, and tell us a little bit about how she was able to help you?
Oh, absolutely. So in the beginning, when we launched our operations here in Delaware, our cleaning company, when it came to sales, we were basically winging it, right? We had no sales process. We just went in and basically, shooting in the dark with no real targeted approach. So I found it very difficult to actually get my sales closed and contracts sealed because, I didn't actually know what I was doing. So I decided to, after me and Judy met in some Chamber of Commerce networking events, and I found out what she did. I said, a switch went off in my head. Well, wow, maybe I can employ her sales training to benefit us in our business. So I did that, my son and myself, and went through the Sandler's Foundation's training and got an actual game plan for going into the sales process. I no longer had to try to wing it off my head, try to figure out what to do next, what's coming after. I had a process and a detailed approach with which I implemented and used at every sales call. So I had the opportunity to take that into the sales process at every sales call. And it was a standardized process. And coming out of the foundation training, I ended up, I would say, was able to close about 30% more deals that I had without a process, and felt comfortable now with approaching the sale, not nervous, not trying to figure out what to do next, what not to do next, but I had a game plan to approach every client, and I felt comfortable in my own skills, in my own skin, because I got the training from Judy at the Sandler's Foundations program. That helped us immensely. Now we're closing big clients, every week going forward, right? Especially the hospital clients. That's what we deal with, bigger entities, and they're more sophisticated sales. So you have to be, on top of your game.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate that so much, man. And you know what? It makes me think of, I didn't really want to bring these two guys up, but I think that the audience could learn a lot from this. I was watching Grant Cardone, and I'm looking at, what's the guy, the Wolf of Wall Street? I forget his name off the top of my head, but they both have some of, like, Grant Cardone's strategy is basically shoot a machine gun and keep shooting and shooting, and hopefully somebody got to stick it if you just throw enough numbers out there. While Wolf of Wall Street, on the other hand, he has an actual sales process. He can, it's more like a sniper where you just pick the target, lock in, and hit it. And so I think that that's the difference. Like I think because you've been through my training, and I don't really go full well into sales because I don't consider myself a sales expert, but I give you enough to get a deal, right? So, but as you were progressing with the line that you're in, I think that when you reached out to Judy, she was able to show you an actual process, like you said, and show you how you can use a sniper rather than just, machine gunning everything down. So I just wanted to bring that up. That was a huge point right there that you made there, Sean. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was a game changer in our business, and I could take that into any platform or any industry that I decide to step into now.
Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, I want to ask you both, since I got you here, Sean and Miss Judy, I'd like to hear you chime in on this. So a lot of people ask me too that whenever they submit a proposal, they say, well, how soon should I follow up? Typically, I'll say, if you sent it that morning, call them the same day just to make sure they actually receive the proposal, and then maybe 3 or 4 days, contact them again. And then after that, maybe once a week after that. Like, did you guys have any feedback on that? Like, should it be more often? Should it be less often? Is there more of a process that you kind of share here with us? I guess, Ms. Judy, I'll let you speak first.
Okay, sure. Well, when we worked with Sean, as I said, we don't put out a proposal, unless you really understand what they wanting you to do. And they have to understand what the consequences are if they don't do something. Because a proposal, just sending it in on an email or whatever, who knows when they're going to look at it. If you haven't really gone through what their real issues are, and usually there are 3 different types of problems. There's a surface problem, which is the smoke and mirrors. They're just going to tell you, well, we need somebody in here, we're doing cleaning internally, too much turnover, whatever. Well, what's the second problem? The second problem is the impact on business, right? Third problem level is how does that impact that individual specifically on their own turf? So when you understand that, and you really can help you understand what their needs are and how you can address that, that's what goes into the proposal. When you get to at the end, going through all and then finding out who are the decision makers. I don't want to send a proposal to somebody who has to kick it up 3 levels. I want to know exactly who's going to be signing in, who's the guy who writes the check to hire me or somebody else, how do they make the decisions? Because all that is going to affect how I put my proposal together. To your question specifically, AJ, is I always say, well, listen, why don't we set up a call? Next Tuesday, 11 o'clock, I'm going to send you the proposal. We'll go over it together. I want to go over the proposal with them. I want to flag any problems that they have, any issues that they may disqualify me on. I want to do either a meeting or Zoom call and go over the proposal together. Now, if they really insist that you send it ahead, absolutely, you're spot on, follow up. But when I send the proposal, before I send the proposal, okay, you don't have time to go over it together. Okay, you want it by Friday at 11 o'clock? Done, no problem. When are we going to schedule to go over the proposal together? And once we go over the proposal, what will be the next steps? So one of the steps, as Sean knows, every time we speak to a prospect or a client, we have something called an upfront contract. It's really setting mutual expectations and agreements about what the next step is. I'm not sending any proposals any place until I know when the next step is that I'm going to speak to them and what's going to happen if the proposal is accepted. So Sean, I know that's something we talked about right early on.
Yeah. What I was doing is, sending out proposals left, right, and center, right? And Judy told me, well, no, you're just showing all your candy in the lobby, right? Don't do that. I had to learn that. So clients or prospects are looking for proposals to just go shop around and compare it with other proposals and just choose the cheapest the cheapest person out there to go with. So your proposal is just used as a comparison tool. So what I learned in Sandler is not to just send out proposals because people request it, but to get the meat of what they actually want and an upfront contract. Now we're going to send your proposals, and I've actually sent proposals out 10 minutes before an actual meeting because we want to give them, we want to be there to go over that proposal with them. We want to make sure that you're not going to shop around. So as soon as we come into a sale, I'm not sending the proposal immediately out. That's later down in the process when we understand the client's needs. And then we can, engage with them to move forward on our proposal with our sales. So, and it's kind of counterintuitive. This is usually not how things are done without the training. People just send proposal, hey, here, boom, boom. But I've learned to pick the right client and wean them out. It's a mutual business. Judy usually says, we are equal business partners here. I'm not lesser than you. You're not above me. And we're doing business ethically and with principle. So once we understand that process, if I'm equal in footing to the client, so you have to do something to receive something. And if for some reason you can't do that, maybe you might not be the right fit for us, and we don't mind moving on to somebody who is more serious about our services and the value we bring. So it was a learning curve, but it's definitely worthwhile. And you get to choose who you will go after versus, as you said, Grant said, just start spraying a machine gun.
Right.
Pick off the right people and the right prospect that will meet our needs and give them that value.
Right. Hey, that's huge advice from both of you. And it's aggressive too, because it's like, so you, not only are you not going to send it to them, you want to give them proposal and go over it with them. So I love that, but it does sound intimidating, and it sounds, I guess, like scary basically for somebody who feels like they're not a sales expert, right? So what would you say, Ms. Judy, to somebody who says they're not a sales expert or they'll never be good at sales? What could you say to that person?
I'd say Sean's point is spot on. You have to realize you're a business owner. They're a business. They are maybe a business owner. They're a senior manager. Equal business stature. You have to choose your spots. You have to develop and you have in your own head what your target client looks like. And I know when you're starting out, gee, you just want cash flow. Anybody who has a heartbeat, hey, let me sign them up. But in the long run, you have to build your business on a solid foundation. And how do you get the kinds of, how do you get the courage and the confidence to be able to work through a sales process? I think you have to put some attention on just building your selling skills, your new business development skills, in conjunction with running your company. That's what Sean did. Sean was up and running, right, Sean, when we started working together? So one doesn't preclude the other. Get kind of frustrating. So invest in yourself. You invested in your business, invest in yourself to make sure that you give yourself the best opportunity for success. And it's not painful. It can be actually, I don't know, I have fun with my clients because, when you're working with adults, they don't want to be lectured. They want to, they want it to make it real. We do a lot of role playing. So that takes away a little the scare factor, right?
Yeah.
If you're not working with a sales trainer, work with someone in your business, work with a friend, someone in your family, do some role play. You be the seller, they're the buyer, and just, it's like putting on a suit, see how it feels, switch it up so that when you go live, you have that confidence.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now I'm gonna ask one more question that I want you to stay here for, Sean, and I'm gonna let you go because I know you're busy. So, but I wanted to ask you both one more question. So often people say, well, what should I do if I get underbid when going out to a contract? I just tell them, move on. Keep moving, because you shouldn't compete on price anyway. But would you guys have any feedback on that?
There's one term or phrase that I learned from Sandler, from Judy's training, and she always says, "You're not in sales to get your emotional needs met, right? Find some other place to do that. It's about business, and when you get ready and you come on, you bring your A game and you get ready to do business. Make sure you're in the right head space, in the right frame of mind, and if you're underbidded, hey, move on. There are many, many more opportunities out there that will, and people will glad to use your services and value what you do. If you got to compete on just on price, maybe that prospect might not be the best prospect for you, because you're going to end up with a contract that you're not making money on anyway, and they will cease to be your priority, and you will lose them or get rid of them regardless. So move on, continue to hunt, and you will definitely find the people that will want to use your service and value. We don't lose any sleep over clients that underbid, because we're not in here to get our emotional needs met.
Yeah, I agree completely, because the first bite's usually not the last bite, right? They're gonna try to discount you beneath what your a reasonable profit margin is, and then they come back to you. And if they're always looking for the cheapest provider, you don't want to play in that game. And the bottom line, as Sean said, you're not there to make friends. You're there to transact business. So some will buy from you, some won't buy from you. So what? Move on to somebody who fits your business better.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you, Sean. I won't hold you too much longer. If you want to hang around and chill with us, you can, but I'm sure you have work to do. So, but I'll let you go if you want to, man. I thank you, though.
Thanks for having me on board. I know, Judy and Sandler training has helped me immensely in my operations, and I know it will do the same for anybody who decide to, get foundational sales training. It will only be a plus. Thanks for having me on. I will be exiting at this point. Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you, Sean. Great to see you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, Ms. Judy, I won't hold you too much longer either. I just got a few more questions for you, and I want to start here. So I know you're a sales trainer, and we more like entrepreneurs here on the channel, and you're really pretty much entrepreneurs. Well, they pretty much one and the same as far as I'm concerned. So what would you say to somebody who's on the sideline, afraid to take that jump into the entrepreneurship realm, or afraid to take that sales position because there's no base salary at the bottom of it? Like, what would you say to that person on the sideline afraid to make that jump?
Well, I think being a business owner is not for everybody. But if you have a passion to really have control over your life and direction over your life, I'd say choose wisely what kind of business you're going to get in. Do your homework, do your due diligence, and step forward with strength and confidence. Because I know in this state in Delaware, 82% of the businesses are owned by small businesses. And the majority of companies in the United States are not these large, huge global organizations like Amazon and Facebook. They are companies that were started by individuals who worked long and hard and smart, that's underlying the smart part, and became very successful. Then they have, you see a lot of multi-generation businesses. If you have a passion for stepping into the arena of business ownership, I said, do your diligence, make sure you have enough financial backing so that you can, for the first year, you're not chasing after any piece of business just because you need the cash flow. Make sure you have some reserves, and I say do it. Because you don't want to be lying on your deathbed thinking, I should have given that a shot. You don't want that kind of regret. Worst thing that can happen, you find it's not for you, then you can pivot in a new direction. But
absolutely.
Have confidence. You got more than you got more talent and skills than all of us than we give ourselves credit for. So I'd say take a shot.
Absolutely. And this is going to be a horrible segue, but I'm going to do it anyway. So you just said on your deathbed, and that brings me to my next question, which is, when it's all said and done, what would you want the Judy Tavy legacy to be?
What I'd like to be my legacy is that I help people professionally to grow, to move toward their full potential so that they financially more successful. Because not having enough money is a monkey on everybody's back. You know, it's that certainty. That's a stress point for a lot of people. And for me, being able to make people financially more successful, it gives you more freedom. It gives you the opportunity to do more for yourself, your family, and your community. And my mindset is we're all here to help one another. That's really what gets me up every day, is who can I help next? How can I help the next Sean Richards to grow his company and feel confident and strong about moving ahead in his professional career? That's what does it for me.
That's awesome, Ms. Judy. How can we follow your journey on social media and just in general? How can we get a hold of you if we wanted to contact you?
Well, I think you have my contact information. It's just judy.taibi@sandler.com. My phone number, if you want to reach out to me, is 302 area code 377-6435. You could follow me on LinkedIn and Facebook. You have my company website there if you want to check out some of the things that we do with business owners. Also just want to put out there to your members, AJ, is if you'd like me to send you, it's just a free diagnostic tool. We call it a sales effectiveness survey. I'll send it to you. Just, you go through it. Sometimes business owners, you know, there's performance gaps, but you're not really sure where they are. Is it that you're not getting in front of enough prospects, or you're not closing enough prospects? Use it internally. It takes 6 to 7 minutes to fill out. And if you want to schedule like a 15 minutes or debrief call with me, so we can look at those areas that are most challenging and maybe some things you can think about in order to get over those hurdles, my pleasure to do that. So just email me again at Judy, JUDY.TAIBI@Sandler, SANDLER.com, and I'll shoot it out to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Judy, so much again. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us today. Judy Tavy, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, AJ. It was a real opportunity, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Good selling, everybody.